We moved to this location in fall of 2022. In the summer of 2023, I set up my bed. I had 7 beds like the one you see over there. Now we have 1, 2, 3. There was one here that I demolished. 4, 5. And the reason I demolished this one and the reason I have been taking down these others is because, as you can see, we are in a rainy environment and the ground is always wet. Even if we go 2 weeks without rain, which is rare, the ground is soggy down here. Unfortunately, this is a rented property, which means I don't have the option of putting my garden where I would like to. So here we go. We have our garden, the beds. After I harvested everything from the garden early this year, I decided I was gonna come down here, see what's happening with the garden, and I found that most of the bed broke because the ground is too soggy. This one is leaning, and so I've been taking out the material out of it. The one that was here got demolished. This one, the legs broke off it because it started to lean and then the legs couldn't manage the pressure. So instead of regular vegetables, I've turned it into my corn bed. And we have lots of wildlife here. So to protect it from the wildlife, this is why I have. And because temperature goes to around 15 degrees Celsius, and because of the high humidity, it might feel like 2022. So as you can see, the beds are just breaking. This one is breaking as well. This one seemed to be okay, so I didn't put anything in there this year. I'm going to be putting garlic in there in the fall. If it is still standing, I'm going to be taking out all of this soil. So far, I've taken out most of the soil and I've put it in my indoor garden because I decided I'm going to be growing almost everything inside. It's just sogging away. Look at it. I did put a few things in here. I planted this in the spring. My mint, I have chocolate mint and spearmint and a few beets. I'm just trying to use up the space even though it's broken. Yes, and a few volunteer tomatoes there. But this garden is going to be completely removed, except for this one, because it is flat on the ground, it can't break. The reason I had it elevated off the ground is because this is a slug territory. And this one will stay if it doesn't break. Everything else will go eventually. So what I am doing is relocating everything to my indoor garden. In my indoor garden, I'm going to be growing year-round. The issues I have is that the temperature, even inside the home, in the summer, does not go above 17, 18. So at all times, depending on what I'm growing, I have to have a heater on in order to keep growing certain plants like my tomatoes and my peppers and stuff. But I'm going to be growing indoors for more than one reason. I'm actually conducting an experiment because with what is happening globally with weather and all sorts of natural disasters and stuff, yes, you cannot completely avoid them, but to the extent that we can we grow indoors? If we're growing indoors, what are the conditions that we have indoors to grow with, to work with? For me, where I'm growing indoors, there are no lights, and by light I mean natural light. There are no windows there. There is the roof, or the ceiling is low, 6 feet, and it doesn't have any form of airflow. To get to that space where I'm growing, I have to pass through 4 other rooms that does not have windows or doors in them, which means the only source of airflow that that section has is if we go through the side door, which is the opposite side of the basement, or through the vent that is on the stairway that is above my growing space. That is the only airflow. So a few fans has to be on constantly to circulate what little air we get in there. So those are some of the issues that I'm facing. Now, the reason I'm doing this video is because I would like you guys to follow along and see how I'm growing indoors, what are the challenges that I face, how I will overcome them, with the purpose of helping you in case you decide that you want to grow indoors but you're facing challenges. Then you can fall back onto these videos to see the challenges, the solutions, and so you can avoid some of them. And you can also share your experience so that others can learn from. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful day. Yeah man, a time for grow.